So what kind of education did your mom have, and what kind of work did she do?
My mother, after high school, was sent for bookkeeper training. And in her family, it was really unusual. The girls were all sent to post-high school training, her sister to nursery school. In my mother's family, her brothers were sent to work after the 8th grade.
What about Uncle Ben? What was his education level, and what did he do for work?
He only went through the 8th grade, and then he developed a very successful business in children's dress manufacturing. And the dresses were shipped, the clothing was shipped in from the Philippines for the very young children, from Puerto Rico for the slightly older children, and from a place in Pennsylvania for the still older children. At our high school, they asked for 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds to be volunteers to help farmers who had lost their helpers because they were drafted into the Army. And I went to the farm of a very nice couple whose farm was about 10 miles from Oneonta, New York, really between Oneonta and Cooperstown. And this man was very interesting because he had made a great fortune in Wall Street. But when the great crash of 1929 came, he lost most of his money, and all he had left was enough money to buy this dairy farm. And my job most of the time was simply to clean out the barn every day.
How many cows were there?
He might have had about 20 cows, and he did all the milking because he had a machine and didn't want me to have anything to do with it.
What else do you remember about World War II?
Well, it was a great tragedy, and I had many relatives who were serving in the military. I had one distant cousin who was a volunteer, who volunteered as a nurse, and she was caught in the Battle of Bulge, but survived. Another second cousin was in air flight training, who died in a plane crash. I had some cousins who were sent to England, one as a meteorologist, and one cousin went to fight in the Pacific. So it was always on our minds.
And would you listen to the radio every night?
Oh, every evening at 6 o'clock we'd hear the CBS radio news. 17, a little over 17, because I was born June 21st and college began early September.
So what year was that you started
1947.
1947. And how did college compare to the high school in New York?
Well, it was totally different, because in college at Harvard, we had an English course with 3 sessions a week where we wrote essays. And that was one of the most unforgettable experiences of my life, because I was getting a C in English all fall semester, and I needed a B average to keep my tuition scholarship, which was $400 for the full year. And I was doing very badly and very frustrated. And all the prep school students were getting A's, and all the high school students were getting B's. But then I got the idea that maybe my problem was I was composing the initial draft and making corrections only on the typewriter, so I stopped doing that. And then I had the good luck to write 4 or 5 pieces all about various aspects of Joan of Arc, her history, the plays about Joan of Arc, and I always call her my patron saint. And for the year, I managed to get an A- grade. And even though I needed only a B average, during my 4 years of college, I had almost a virtual A average every year.
Now, if the tuition scholarship was $400, how much was tuition? Was that also the full cost of
$400 was the tuition for the year.
For Harvard?
Right.